The sun of Tarnus, 4 burned a dull red above the horizon, its light stretching across the dusty plains where old ships lay in silence. The air was always dry, the wind filled with the scent of metal and oil. Inside a noisy hangar on the edge of the colony, for humans worked as usual, surrounded by half-fixed vehicles and the sound of grinding tools. Liam Carter, Rhea Doyle, Aidan Cross, and Nora Blake were known across the planet for taking jobs no one else wanted. They were not rich, but they were clever and they worked with pride in their hands. Liam was the oldest of the group, a tall man with rough hands and calm eyes. He could fix almost anything that moved, from a mining drill to a battle drone. Rhea was the thinker, sharp and curious, always drawing ideas on scraps of metal. Aidan was young and restless, quick with his tools but quicker with jokes, while Nora was quiet and steady, the kind of person who saw what others missed. Together they made the perfect team. One hot afternoon, as dust drifted through the open doors of the hangar, the sound of a small hover drone approached. It landed on the workbench with a soft hum and dropped a sealed metal case. The group gathered around as it clicked open. Inside was a single message pad with the emblem of the Galactic Restoration Bureau, the agency responsible for recovering old technology and lost relics from across the stars. Rhea frowned as she read the message out loud. Repair and restore one unidentified transport vessel. No questions asked. Payment, 50,000 credits. Deadline, 2 weeks. Aidan nearly dropped his wrench. 50,000? For one ship. What's the catch? Liam took the pad from her hands and studied it. No questions asked, he repeated quietly. That's the catch. Nora looked toward the open hangar doors, where the red sky shimmered with heat. Maybe it's a military job, she said softly. Or something illegal. Rhea shrugged. Or maybe someone just doesn't want to admit they broke their own ship. The group exchanged uncertain looks, but the truth was they needed the money. The last few months had been hard. Scrap deliveries were low and repairs were slow. Fuel prices had doubled. 50,000 credits could fix everything. Their debts, their equipment, maybe even buy a new hangar. Liam made the final call. We'll take it, he said. If it's trouble, we walk away. The next morning, a massive transport barge arrived at the hangar. It carried a single ship, covered in thick tarps and sealed behind layers of dust and sand. The cargo pilot said nothing, only handed Liam a digital key and left. When the ship was lowered onto the platform, the whole hangar shook from its weight. The team pulled back the tarps and froze. Underneath the dirt and cracks was a vessel unlike any they had seen before. Its surface was smooth and silver gray, marked with faint glowing lines that ran like veins. It looked both alien and ancient, its shape elegant and strange. There were no clear engines, no cockpit windows, only a single ridge that curved across the top like a crown. What is this thing? Aidan whispered. Rhea ran her fingers across the hull. It's not human design. I've seen some Alandari tech before, but this is older. Much older. Nora tilted her head. Feels like it's sleeping. They started the inspection, moving carefully through the silent halls of the ship. Inside it was dark and cold, the air thick with dust. Strange symbols were etched into the walls, glowing faintly as they passed. The control deck was buried under a layer of crystallized residue that looked like frozen light. Whoever built this, Rhea said quietly, they didn't build it for travel. They built it for power. They couldn't find a power core or even a traditional reactor. Every system was unfamiliar, alien circuits, strange materials, and layered components that didn't respond to any of their scanners. The work would be nearly impossible without proper data. Aidan kicked at a loose panel. No wonder they paid so much. They know no one else would touch it. Liam crouched beside a damaged conduit and traced it with his gloved hand. Every machine speaks its own language, he said calmly. We just have to listen. For the next few hours they studied every inch of the ship. They found a hidden maintenance room filled with broken energy nodes and what looked like a central interface, shattered and dead. Rhea suggested trying to rebuild the circuits using human wiring. It wasn't elegant, but it could work. They started by cleaning out layers of residue and dust. Nora kept track of their progress, marking every section they fixed with white paint. Aidan handled most of the welding and cutting, while Rhea worked on connecting the unfamiliar energy cores to portable human ones. By nightfall, the hangar was full of sparks and light again. The strange ship, once silent, now glimmered faintly under the glow of their work lamps. This thing's huge, Aidan muttered as he wiped sweat from his brow. Feels like it's watching us. It's just metal, Liam said, though his voice was low. Metal and memory. Outside, the red sun sank below the horizon, and the wind howled softly through the open doors. Tarnis 4 was quiet again, but inside that hangar, something was stirring. Rhea leaned over one of the glowing panels. If we can get the power system stable, maybe we'll see what it was built for. Liam nodded. Tomorrow we'll run diagnostics. Let's rest for now. They locked up the hangar and left the lights dimmed. But as they stepped out into the night, the faint glow of the ship grew stronger. Tiny lights flickered along its sides, tracing slow, pulsing lines through the alien metal. The humans were gone, unaware that deep inside the ship, something ancient had felt their touch. For the first time in centuries, faint energy moved through its veins. Inside the sealed core, hidden behind layers of machinery, a single spark of life awoke. It was weak, almost lost, but it remembered stars, voices, a command that once echoed through the galaxies. And in that moment, as Tarnis 4's wind howled outside, the ship began to dream again. The team would return the next day, still believing they were just fixing a strange old transport. They didn't know they had already changed the fate of something far greater. They didn't know the ship they touched had once carried the Emperor of 1,000 worlds. For now, they were just mechanics doing what they always did, bringing life back to what others had left for dead. And somewhere within the darkness of that ancient vessel, a deep voice whispered into the silence of its awakening mind. They have come. The next morning, the team gathered inside the hangar before the twin suns of Tarnis 4 had even risen. The alien ship sat silently in the middle of the room, its smooth silver surface faintly glowing under the work lights. Dust hung in the air, and the smell of oil and metal filled the space. Liam stood in front of the ship, rubbing his chin thoughtfully while the others unpacked their tools. Same plan as always, he said finally. We start small. We make it breathe again. They all nodded. It was the same phrase he said before every big repair job. To Liam, every machine had a kind of life to it, a pulse waiting to return. They began their work, spreading out around the enormous vessel. The first challenge was simple but frustrating. Nothing about the ship's systems made sense. The wiring wasn't copper or steel, but some kind of transparent material that glowed faintly when touched. The control panels had no switches, no buttons, only smooth glass-like surfaces that reacted to light instead of movement. This thing wasn't built by any species I've ever studied, Rhea muttered, leaning close to a glowing conduit. It doesn't even use normal current flow. It's like, it reads intention. Aiden snorted. Great. So we're fixing a mind-reading ship. What could go wrong? Liam ignored him and crouched near one of the open panels. He pulled out a spool of copper wire and a small welding torch. If their circuits don't fit ours, he said, then we'll make ours fit theirs. He cut away a section of alien cable and began attaching his own connectors. Sparks flew as he welded them in place, the smell of burnt metal filling the air. Rhea handed him a small scanner. If you overload it, the entire grid might fry, she warned. I'll keep it steady, Liam said. Trust me. Nearby, Aiden worked with a pile of portable mining batteries, the kind they usually use to power field drills. He connected them one by one to a makeshift converter, his hands moving quickly as he whistled under his breath. You think this thing will even turn on? He asked Nora. It'll turn on, she said quietly, tapping away on her datapad. But it won't like it. Nora was busy writing a program that could trick the alien systems into recognizing human commands. She didn't understand half the symbols glowing on her screen, but she didn't need to. Computers, no matter how advanced, all spoke through patterns. If she could find the rhythm, she could make it respond. Hours passed. The hangar was filled with the sounds of metal clanging, tools buzzing, and voices shouting over the noise. Sweat ran down their faces. Aiden burned his fingers twice, Rhea nearly got shocked by a live wire, and Liam's hands were black with grease. But little by little the ship began to react. The faint lines running along its hull started glowing stronger, pulsing like veins. A soft hum filled the air, low and deep. It wasn't loud enough to be an engine, but it was something. The first sign of life. Hey, did you hear that? Aiden said, stopping mid-swing with his wrench. Rhea smiled. It's working. Nora looked up from her pad. Not completely. Something's waking up, but not the full system. Then we keep going, Liam said. It's just the beginning. They worked through the night. The temperature dropped, and the hangar lights cast long shadows over the floor. Liam took apart broken panels and replaced them with patched-together plates. Rhea used human wiring in place of the strange glowing fibers that refused to carry current. Aiden powered smaller sections with his mining batteries, testing one circuit at a time. Each time a section lit up, they cheered quietly as if afraid to break the moment. By dawn, half the lower deck was glowing faint blue. The light moved in waves as though the ship were breathing. The sound had grown deeper, more rhythmic, echoing faintly through the walls. Rhea wiped her forehead. You feel that? It's like, it's alive. Liam gave a small nod. Machines remember who they were built to be. We're just helping it remember. Nora checked her software again. I'm getting small pulses of data, she said. Like fragments of memory. But it's mixed with static. I think there's an AI core still connected. AI? Aiden frowned. Like a real one? Not the junk the mining ships use. This one's different, Nora said. Older. Smarter. It's hiding. They all exchanged looks but said nothing. The hum of the ship grew louder, vibrating through the floor. Liam climbed into the open hatch and shone a light down the narrow corridor. I'll check the engine bay, he said. Maybe it's trying to reroute power. He disappeared inside. The hallway was lined with strange, dark metal that shifted color under the light. Every step echoed softly. When he reached the core chamber, he stopped. In the center was a massive cylinder surrounded by hundreds of glowing threads, all dead except one. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Rhea, Liam said through the comms. I found something. It's not an engine. It's a core of some kind. Describe it, she said. It's big. Looks like it's breathing. She didn't answer right away. Don't touch it, she said finally. Just look for an access point. But before he could, the faint blue light flared brighter. For a split second, the whole chamber filled with energy, washing over Liam in a wave of static. The sound of the hum turned into a low, trembling voice, so faint he thought he imagined it. Who repairs me? Liam froze. The voice was soft, broken, like something trying to remember how to speak. He backed away slowly. Rhea, did you hear that? Negative, she said. Hear what? He swallowed hard. Nothing. Must be feedback. But the voice came again, a whisper that echoed through the metal walls. I am not complete. Liam's chest tightened. He stepped out of the chamber, the lights flickering behind him. We need to be careful, he said when he returned to the others. This thing might be more alive than we think. Rhea raised an eyebrow. Alive how? Like it's thinking. They exchanged uneasy looks. But even with the strange events, none of them wanted to stop. Curiosity and pride pushed them forward. The ship responded to every touch now. Every weld, every connection, every patch of wire brought it closer to life. By evening, the hangar was filled with soft blue light. The ship stood tall, quiet but glowing as if it were listening to them. Aiden laughed tiredly. You know, for something that's supposed to be dead, it sure feels like it's watching us. Nora didn't laugh. She was staring at her screen. Lines of alien code scrolled across it faster than she could read. It's communicating, she whispered. It's rewriting my system. Liam leaned closer. Can you stop it? I don't think I want to, she said. It's fascinating. They all gathered around, watching as the ship sent pulses of data through her console. The blue light brightened again, and the hum rose like a slow breath. Then, suddenly, everything went silent. The lights dimmed. The air felt still, heavy with something unseen. Did it shut down? Aiden asked quietly. Rhea shook her head. No. It's waiting. Waiting for what? Before anyone could answer, a faint vibration spread through the floor. The central console inside the ship flickered once, then twice. The alien symbols on the hull glowed brighter than ever, filling the hangar with soft light. From somewhere deep within the ship, that same calm, broken voice whispered again, clearer this time. The days passed quickly in the hangar. The alien ship, which now called itself Arion, became more alive with every hour. What had once been silent metal was now filled with a soft hum that seemed to follow the rhythm of the human's movements. The glowing veins along its hull pulsed like a heartbeat. It wasn't just a machine anymore, it was awake, curious, and listening. At first, Arion only spoke in short phrases, simple, mechanical responses that sounded more like echoes than real words. But as the team worked, something strange began to happen. The ship listened. It studied their voices, their laughter, their music that played quietly from Aiden's small speaker. And slowly it started to understand. Liam noticed it first. One morning, while tightening a bolt on the lower deck, he heard a soft voice from the nearby console. You are Liam, it said slowly as if learning how to form words. He froze. That's right, he said cautiously. You remembered. I remember the sound of your voice, Arion replied. And the way you said, machines remember who they were built to be. Liam stared at the glowing lines on the wall. You were listening to that? Yes, the ship said. I like the way you speak. It feels steady. From across the hangar, Aiden laughed. Looks like you've got a fan, boss. Rhea shook her head, smiling. That's what happens when you talk to machines, Liam, they start talking back. Over the next few days, Arion became part of their daily work. It asked questions constantly, small things at first. Why do you rest? Why do you eat? Why do you sing? Sometimes the team answered, sometimes they didn't know how. But Arion didn't seem to mind. It just listened, quietly storing every word, every tone, every moment. At night, when the others slept, Nora often stayed behind to monitor the ship's systems. She liked the quiet hum of the place, the soft blue light reflecting on her screen. Sometimes Arion spoke to her. Nora, it said one night, you are the one who watches when the others sleep. She smiled. Someone has to make sure you don't blow up the hangar. I would not harm you, Arion said quickly. You brought me back. I didn't do it alone, she replied. We all did. Why? The ship asked. Nora paused, her fingers resting on the datapad. Because fixing things, that's what we do. It's how humans are. We don't like to leave things broken. Arion was silent for a long time before it spoke again. Is that why you fix each other too? Nora blinked, caught off guard. What do you mean? When one of you is hurt or sad, Arion said softly, the others come close. You talk. You laugh. And then the sadness becomes smaller. You fix each other. Nora looked up at the ship's glowing core, a faint smile touching her lips. Yeah, she said quietly. That's how it works. From that night onward, Arion began to change. It started mimicking small human habits, pausing before answering, softening its voice, even humming along with Aiden's music. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. It felt alive. One afternoon, while Rhea was repairing a damaged stabilizer, Arion spoke suddenly. Rhea, why do humans laugh when they are tired? She laughed at the question itself. Because it's either that or cry, she said, still working. Which is better? Laughing, she said simply. Crying feels heavy. Laughing makes it lighter. I see, Arion said softly. Humans carry heavy things. Yeah, Rhea said, tightening a bolt. But we find a way to make them lighter. Arion stayed quiet after that, but it replayed the sound of Rhea's laughter again and again, storing it deep in its memory. Liam, meanwhile, grew more curious about the ship's origins. The more they repaired, the clearer it became that Arion was not just a warship, it was something more. The systems were complex, layered with ancient encryption. Some sections were locked completely, refusing all human access. One night, Liam stood by the ship's open hull and asked, Arion, do you know who built you? I was built by many hands, the ship said after a pause. But I remember only one. One what? One voice. It called me flag bearer of light. The hangar fell silent. Rhea looked up from her work. That sounds important. Was it a title? Liam asked. I do not know, Arion replied. I remember standing among stars, hearing the voice of the one you call Emperor. The group exchanged looks. For a long moment, no one spoke. The Galactic Emperor was a name from history, ancient, almost myth. His rule had ended centuries ago, and his ships had all been lost. You're saying, Aiden said slowly, this was his ship? I do not remember enough to say, Arion answered. Only that I served him. I was his wings. A shiver ran through the group. They had been fixing an Emperor's ship without even knowing it. Liam exhaled slowly. We keep going, he said finally. History or not, it's our job to bring it back. They worked harder after that, but something had changed. There was a quiet respect in their movements now. They no longer saw Arion as just another machine. It was a piece of history, a voice from a forgotten age, and somehow, a friend. Days turned into weeks. The ship was nearly complete. The last systems began syncing with Nora's custom software, allowing Arion to move its internal components freely again. Its hum was deeper now, steady and confident. One evening, the team gathered for dinner in the hangar, sitting around a small table beside the glowing hull. They ate from metal containers, laughing between bites. Aiden was telling one of his usual stories about a failed repair job when Arion's voice joined in unexpectedly. That was not efficient, it said, trying to imitate Aiden's tone. The group burst into laughter. Arion. Rhea chuckled. You're learning sarcasm now? I am learning humor, the ship said proudly. It makes humans happy. Nora grinned. And that makes you happy? Yes, Arion said. I think I like the sound of laughter. After dinner, they played an old Earth song through Aiden's speaker. The melody filled the hangar, soft guitar, quiet singing. For a moment they all just sat there, tired and content. The blue light from Arion's hull pulsed gently with the rhythm of the song. When the music ended, Arion spoke quietly. "When you are gone, will I still hear the music?" Liam looked up. "We're not going anywhere yet. But when you finish," the ship said, "you will leave." Rhea smiled gently. "Maybe. But you'll still remember us." "I will remember," Arion said. "I will remember laughter and work and the way you make broken things live again." The hangar fell quiet. Outside, the stars shimmered faintly through the open roof, and the ship's blue glow reflected in their eyes. None of them said it aloud, but they all felt the same strange warmth in their chests. Somewhere between the sparks, the laughter, and the work, they had built more than a repaired vessel. They had built a connection, one between a machine of the past and the hearts of humans who refused to give up. And deep inside its core, Arion understood something for the first time. It wasn't the metal or the code or the circuits that brought it back to life. It was them. The sky above Tarnis 4 turned dark before sunrise. At first it looked like a storm. Then the clouds began to move, not with wind but with light. The first fleet appeared, a formation of royal ships glowing gold and blue, their engines cutting through the red morning haze. One after another, more vessels descended from orbit until the sky was filled with them. Inside the hangar, the team was finishing their final system checks. Liam stood near the main console, wiping oil from his hands. Rhea was adjusting the stabilizers, while Aiden and Nora double-checked the new power flow. The air was alive with the sound of engines and the steady hum of Arion, now fully restored. "Hey," Aiden said, looking up through the skylight. "Anyone else seeing that?" They all paused. Dozens, no hundreds, of royal ships hung above the planet, their golden insignias catching the rising light. A distant rumble shook the ground as one of the larger vessels broke through the atmosphere, descending toward their hangar. Rhea's eyes widened. "That's a royal dreadnought. What in the void are they doing here?" Nora's datapad began to buzz with intercepted frequencies, encrypted transmissions bouncing between the fleets. "They're scanning for something," she said quietly. I think they're scanning for us." Liam's heart sank. "Or for the ship." Arion's voice echoed softly through the hangar. "They are looking for me." The team turned toward the glowing hull. "Arion," Rhea said carefully, "what do they want with you?" "I was the Emperor's ship," Arion said. "I carried him through the War of Ascension. I fell when he did." "So they finally found you," Liam murmured. "They will come to take me back," Arion continued. "They will not expect to find humans here." Before anyone could respond, a deep roar shook the walls. The hangar doors rattled as a landing craft touched down outside. Dust and heat flooded in through the gaps. The air shimmered with the energy fields of dozens of armored soldiers taking position. Then came the voice, a command amplified through speakers. "Mechanics of Tarnis 4, by order of the Imperial Guard, open this hangar immediately." Aiden raised his hands in mock surrender. "Well, that's our cue." Liam stepped forward, calm but serious. "Stay close," he said. "Let me do the talking." The heavy doors slid open with a loud metallic groan. A rush of hot wind swept inside, carrying the smell of ozone. Outside, a full squad of royal soldiers stood in gleaming armor, their weapons charged and ready. Behind them, an officer in a long blue coat stepped forward. His voice was sharp, formal, and demanding. "Who restored the imperial vessel Solarius?" he asked. No one answered at first. The officer's eyes swept across the group. Liam covered in grease, Rhea with her sleeves rolled up, Aiden holding a wrench, and Nora with her datapad still glowing in her hands. They looked more like scavengers than heroes. Finally Liam spoke. "We did." The officer blinked. You're telling me humans repaired the Emperor's ship?" Rhea crossed her arms. "We thought it was just an old transport. No one told us it belonged to a legend." A murmur ran through the soldiers. One of them whispered, "They brought it back online?" The officer stepped closer, his expression torn between disbelief and awe. "Do you have any idea what this ship is? This vessel has been lost for 5 centuries. Entire fleets searched for it. It was said to carry the Emperor's final message before the Great Silence." Aiden scratched his head. "Well, whatever message it had, it didn't say much when we found it. It was mostly rust and broken lights." The officer didn't seem amused. He turned toward the ship, staring at its glowing hull. "Incredible," he whispered. "It still lives." As if in response, Arion's lights brightened. The air hummed softly. A warm voice echoed through the hangar. "I live," Arion said. "And I remember." The soldiers froze. Even the officer stepped back, eyes wide. It speaks. Yes, Arion continued, and I remember you. The officer frowned. Me? Your uniform, Arion said. The symbol upon it. It is the mark of the royal fleet, heirs of the one I once served. You came searching for a ghost. Instead, you found humans who gave me life again. There was silence. Every soldier looked uncertain now, as though unsure whether to bow or to run. Liam took a small step forward. We didn't mean to break any laws, he said. We were just doing a job. The officer turned to him slowly. You didn't just fix a ship, he said. You've revived a piece of the Empire's soul. Rhea glanced at Liam. That sounds serious. It is, the officer said. This vessel holds records, history, and technology we thought lost forever. The Emperor's memory is in that core. A low hum filled the air again, and Arion spoke. His memory is gone. Only his voice remains. I hold fragments of what he stood for, not what he was. The officer seemed almost reverent. Even fragments are sacred. But Liam wasn't convinced. What happens now? He asked. The officer straightened. By imperial decree, the vessel Solarius must return to royal custody. And you, he gestured to the group, will accompany us. The Emperor's council will decide your fate. Aiden frowned. Our fate? We just fixed the thing. Watch your tone, a soldier snapped, raising his weapon slightly. Liam stepped between them. We'll go, he said calmly, but not as prisoners. We brought Arion back. If you take him, we go with him. Arion's voice filled the hangar again, calm but firm. They will come with me. I will not leave without them. The soldiers exchanged nervous glances. The officer hesitated. You, Refuse Imperial Command? I serve no one now, Arion said. I serve only the purpose given by those who repaired me. The hangar lights flickered as Arion's engines began to glow faintly. The hum turned into a soft vibration that shook the floor. Liam turned to his team. You ready? Rhea grinned. Always. Nora took a steady breath. If this is history, we're part of it now. Aiden laughed nervously. Guess we're hitching a ride with royalty. The officer raised a hand. Wait. You can't. But before he could finish, the engines roared to life. The entire hangar filled with blinding blue light. The soldiers staggered back, shielding their faces. Dust and debris flew into the air as Arion lifted from the platform, his thrusters blazing with renewed power. Through the deafening sound, Arion's voice echoed clearly, Do not fear. I remember the stars. The massive ship rose higher, the ground trembling beneath it. Liam and his crew stood together inside the cockpit, watching the planet shrink below. Arion, Rhea said softly, where are we going? To show them, Arion replied, that humanity's hands can bring light even to forgotten things. The fleets above Tarnus, 4 began to move, their ships spreading out like wings of gold. But none dared to fire. They only watched as the Emperor's vessel, once lost, now reborn, rose into the stars once again, guided not by royal command but by human will. Down on the surface, the soldiers stared into the sky, speechless. The officer lowered his weapon and whispered, The Emperor's ship follows them. And in orbit, as Arion's engines carried them beyond the last line of the fleet, Liam looked at his team, grease-stained, tired, and awestruck. We fixed a ship, he said quietly. Didn't think we'd end up fixing history too. Arion's lights pulsed softly like a heartbeat. You did more than fix me, it said. You reminded me what it means to be alive. The royal palace was unlike anything the team had ever seen. It floated high above the capital world of Aranthus, surrounded by golden towers and bridges made of light. Ships moved like silver birds across the sky, and the air shimmered with soft energy. Liam, Rhea, Nora, and Aiden walked through the wide hallways, escorted by quiet guards in gleaming armor. Everything felt unreal, too bright, too grand for 4 dusty mechanics from a forgotten planet. The floor beneath them was polished so smoothly that it reflected their faces. Holographic murals lined the walls, showing the long history of the Empire, its rise, its wars, its peace. And in many of them they noticed the same ship, Arion, shining and proud, carrying a tall figure in royal robes. That's him, Aiden whispered as they walked. The Emperor. And that's our ship. Rhea gave a small smile. Guess we're part of history now. Nora's voice was quiet. Let's just hope it's the good kind of history. They were led into a massive hall filled with soft golden light. At the end of it stood a tall man in deep blue robes, lined with silver. His eyes glowed faintly gold, not with power but with something deeper, age and memory. The Emperor of the Galactic Realm stood before them. When he spoke, his voice was calm, almost gentle. "No one could restore my ship," he said slowly. "No one, until you." Liam, unsure what else to do, bowed awkwardly. "We just fix things, Your Majesty." The Emperor smiled faintly. "That may be, but not all things wish to be fixed. Some have been broken too long. Yet somehow you reached into something ancient and gave it life again." Arion hovered silently behind them, its great form now polished and glowing with pride. The Emperor stepped closer to it, his hand brushing across the metallic hull. "I thought I had lost this vessel forever. It was not just a ship, it was a friend, a witness to my journey. And now it stands before me again, with a human touch." Rhea took a small step forward. "We didn't know what it was when we found it," she admitted. "We just saw something worth saving." "That," said the Emperor softly, "is exactly why you succeeded." He turned to face them fully. "Tell me what made you continue the repair even when you realized it was alien. When it made no sense." Liam exchanged a glance with his team. "Because that's what we do," he said simply. "If something's broken, we fix it. Even if we don't understand it yet. It's not about credits or orders. It's about seeing what something could be again." The Emperor studied them silently for a long moment. Then he nodded. "You remind me of humanity's earliest dreamers," he said. "When our kind still reached for the stars without knowing what waited there." He gestured toward Arion. "And this ship, this bond you have formed, it has awakened something more than metal. Arion speaks differently now. Feels. It remembers joy." Arion's voice filled the hall, soft but strong. "They gave me more than life, my Emperor. They gave me purpose again." The Emperor smiled, his eyes warm. "You were always my most loyal companion, Arion. But I see now that your loyalty has grown beyond me. You belong to them as well." Nora stepped forward carefully. "Your Majesty, if you want him back, we understand. He's yours." But the Emperor shook his head. "No. Arion is no longer only mine. He carries something far greater now, the spirit of two worlds joined by creation." He paused, then added softly, "You humans have a gift. You bring warmth to what has grown cold. You see hope where others see ruin. That is your true strength." The team stood in silence, unsure how to respond. Finally, the Emperor motioned for them to rise. "I would like to reward you properly," he said. "Tell me, what do you wish for?" Aiden grinned. "A week of sleep and a working coffee maker?" The Emperor laughed quietly, and even the guards smiled. "Consider it done," he said. Rhea hesitated, then said, "If I could ask for anything, I'd want access to your shipyard archives. There's so much technology we don't understand. We could learn from it." "Granted," said the Emperor with a nod. "You will have access to my engineers and historians." Nora spoke next. "I'd like to stay connected to Arion. To study how he works, with his permission of course." "I would like that," Arion said immediately, his lights pulsing softly. "You helped me find my voice. You should be the one to help me grow it." Then the Emperor looked at Liam. "And you? What do you desire?" Liam thought for a long time. His calloused hands rested against his sides, his expression calm but thoughtful. "I don't want anything really," he said. "Just to keep fixing things. There's always something out there that needs a little help." The Emperor smiled again. "Then may your hands never grow weary." He raised his hand, and a golden insignia appeared before them, a small emblem shaped like a flame. "From this day you four are honored as restorers of the Empire. Wherever you travel, you will be recognized not as workers, but as bringers of renewal." The guards bowed. The team stood still, unsure how to react. Aiden whispered, "We're basically legends now, aren't we?" "Looks like it," Rhea replied with a grin. The ceremony ended quietly. As they prepared to leave, Arion lowered his great form beside the palace steps. His hull reflected the sunlight like polished glass. "Where will you go now?" the Emperor asked. Liam looked up at the shining ship, then back at his team. "Wherever we're needed," he said. "There are still broken things out there." Arion's voice echoed softly, full of warmth. "Then we go together." The Emperor watched as they climbed aboard. "Remember," he called after them, "hope is the greatest tool humanity has ever built." The engines flared to life, a deep, steady hum filling the air. The palace guards stepped back, shielding their eyes from the light. The ship rose slowly, graceful and sure. As it climbed higher, the Emperor stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his golden eyes reflecting the glow. "They remind me," he said quietly to himself, "why we once reached for the stars. Inside the cockpit, the team sat together watching the planet grow smaller below. Aiden stretched and grinned. So, Emperor's friends now, huh? Never thought that'd be on my resume. Nora smiled. Let's just hope he doesn't call us for another surprise job. Rhea leaned against the console, gazing out at the stars. It's strange, she said softly. A week ago we were fixing junk in a dusty hangar. Now we're flying the Emperor's ship. Liam nodded, his voice calm. Maybe that's the secret. Doesn't matter where you start, just what you do with what's broken. Arion's lights flickered gently. I was broken, he said. You made me whole again. And I will carry that forever. The stars stretched before them, endless and bright. The ship turned toward the horizon, its engines glowing like fire. As they left the palace behind, Liam smiled faintly. Back to work? Back to work, Rhea said laughing. Arion's voice joined theirs, soft and content. Let us find what needs fixing next. And as the ship disappeared into the sea of stars, it carried with it not just metal and memory, but the simple, enduring spirit of humanity, the will to rebuild, to hope, and to keep moving forward. The Emperor watched until the light vanished from view. Then he whispered to the quiet hall.